$2.5 billion. On April 5, 1976, a Learjet landed in Houston carrying an emaciated, unidentifiable man who had just died en route from Acapulco. The FBI had to use fingerprints to confirm it was Howard Hughes. He left behind an empire spanning aviation, film, real estate, and defense, a $2.5 billion fortune that made him the richest private citizen in the world. But how did an orphaned teenager from Texas build a monopoly that funded a lifetime of world records, Hollywood blockbusters, and unprecedented eccentricity? Today, we dissect the financial architecture of the Hughes empire.
That's right, Anna. The entire Hughes empire was bankrolled by a single piece of steel, the sharp Hughes two-cone rotary drill bit. Howard's father, Howard Hughes Sr., patented it in 1908. Before this invention, oil drillers using fishtail bits couldn't penetrate deep, hard rock. The Hughes bit had 166 cutting edges that literally crushed solid granite. When Howard Jr. inherited the Hughes Tool Company in 1924 at age 18, he made two ruthless business decisions. First, he bought out his relatives to take absolute 100% of the company.
With that Texas oil money acting as an infinite safety net, Hughes moved to Los Angeles in 1926 and immediately disrupted Hollywood. He wasn't interested in slow studio system growth. He wanted spectacle. In 1927, he began production on the World War I aviation epic, Hell's Angels. When the jazz singer proved that synchronized sound was the future, Hughes scrapped his silent footage and spent another 2 years reshooting the film for audio. He purchased 87 vintage fighter planes, creating the world's largest private air force, and hired renowned pilots to fly dangerous dogfights.
But Hughes didn't just want to film airplanes, he wanted to build them. In 1932, he formed the Hughes Aircraft Company in a rented corner of a Lockheed hangar in Burbank. He hired brilliant aeronautical engineers like Richard Palmer and Glenn Odekirk. Their mandate wasn't to build commercial airliners, but to build the fastest machines on Earth. The result was the H-1 Racer. It featured revolutionary aerodynamics, flush rivets, retractable landing gear, and a bell-shaped engine cowling to reduce drag.
That transition to defense contracting brought massive government funding, but it also nearly killed him. On July 7, 1946, Hughes was test flying the XF-11, a twin-engine reconnaissance prototype commissioned by the Army Air Forces. A propeller malfunction caused the aircraft to plummet into a Beverly Hills neighborhood on North Beverly Drive, destroying 3 houses. Hughes was pulled from the burning wreckage by a Marine sergeant. He suffered a crushed collarbone, multiple cracked ribs, and a collapsed lung.
While the Spruce Goose dominated the headlines, Hughes's true corporate masterpiece was playing out in commercial aviation. Beginning in 1939, at the urging of airline executive Jack Fry, Hughes began quietly purchasing stock in Transcontinental and Western Air, which would become TWA. By 1944, he owned a controlling interest. He secretly partnered with Lockheed to develop the Constellation, a 4-engine pressurized airliner that revolutionized commercial travel by flying comfortably above the weather. For over a decade, TWA was a massive profit engine.
Armed with $500 million in liquid cash, Hughes boarded a private train in Boston and vanished into the Nevada desert. On Thanksgiving Day, 1966, he arrived at the Desert Inn in Las Vegas and rented the entire top-floor penthouse. He would not leave that floor for 4 years. When the hotel's mob-connected manager, Mo Dalitz, demanded Hughes vacate the suite for high rollers on New Year's Eve, Hughes simply bought the entire Desert Inn for $13 million. This triggered an unprecedented corporate buying spree.
That insulation culminated in the formation of the Summa Corporation in 1972, a massive holding company designed to manage his labyrinthine assets while keeping him entirely hidden. His secrecy became so legendary that the CIA utilized it for one of the most audacious espionage missions of the Cold War, Project Azorian. In 1974, the CIA needed to recover a sunken Soviet K-129 nuclear submarine from the floor of the Pacific Ocean. They approached Hughes to provide the cover story.
The life of Howard Hughes leaves us with 3 profound takeaways about the nature of extreme wealth. First, true financial invincibility requires a foundational monopoly. The unshakable cash flow from the Hughes Tool Company's leased drill bits was the safety net that made his Hollywood and aviation gambles possible. Second, his greatest financial triumphs came from recognizing the intersection of civilian technology and defense contracting, transforming racing planes into World War II fighter tech, and using commercial aviation to fund aerospace dominance. Finally, his story is a tragic case study in the limits of money.